I'm just curious, how many jobs do parents have in order to keep up with just the lifestyle of what's going on right now? Because if it's one job or two jobs, who's actually raising the kid? And
Good
then does
point.
social media raise the kid? And now that kid that's now 30 who's still acting like 14 is stuck at 14 because they never got the tools they needed at age 14 to progress to 15, 16, 17, 18, and without getting those tools, even friends of mine I see stuck at certain ages, right? So I feel like it's the tools that were needed, and when they don't get the tools, they get stuck at that space, right? And I think it starts with having to keep up with society and bills and everything else that I'll just get another job. Well, there's still a family. And if dad's not home and mom's not home, well, then who is home? And right now, everybody's stuck in that phone. That's who's home. Whether it's the news, whether it's social media, whether it's whatever. And it's filled with short bursts of data. So then when you try to come home and then you try to say something, you get that blast back from them because you're talking too long. It's unacceptable. You got to be quicker. Well, me? Oh, what do you mean? I got to be quicker. They're used to the fast, shifting to the next thing. So I don't know. I think we're a part of our own problem. I honestly feel like, again, it's accountability. We want to raise the family, but look, when I grew up, I didn't have a million things. I barely had much, right? But we had each other, we had the family, and we sat at a table to eat dinner. Where do we sit now? Who do we eat with now? It's a little different. And that's the beginning of the breakdown.
So, in other words, we replaced connection with our loved ones with material things. I
And
read a statistic actually the other day, and it was quite shocking. I think they worked out how many items people used to own, and it was like they started somewhere in medieval ages, and there was an average of 3 things. and but it was still back in the 1920s, 30s. It was maybe 30 things, and it went up to 100 things. And now it's thousands of things. And I'm sure that 900 of them we don't need. But we work and work and work and need more money because we have to buy all those things. And as you said, get a second job because bills are going up, mortgages are going up, everything is going up. So here we are chasing material things and forgetting about people.
Doing jobs we don't want to pay for things that we don't need, etc. I'm sure you've all heard that before. But if we did just have, let's not be completely, let's go with 6 things. If we were happy to have 6, Erica's like, I want shit. Don't give me this.
I have my
I want
own.
material
I'm
wealth.
going to wait until you're done and then I'll go.
If we were happy with less, which is a trigger phrase for Erika, then perhaps the drive, the two parents both working 2 jobs, etc., all of that would change. But wrapped in with 24-hour society is this conspicuous consumption, which brings us back to the guy in the coffee shop earlier, who everything that this one particular guy said to his friend was around what the thing cost, scarcity value of the particular thing, etc. All sort of material based value judgments which were happening at the cost of that connection with the daughter. If you're confused as hell as what I'm talking about at the moment, you need to go back a couple of sessions and watch that. But that is it. Brett said that typical sort of scarcity period thing that probably all of us have heard. We didn't have much, but we had each other.
And it's not about going back to times where everybody was poor and had nothing. It's just a question, are we going out of balance the other way?
Yeah.
are you cooking a home cooked meal and the kids helping, setting the table, anything like that? There's a whole part of modeling what a father or mother and what the picture looks like that I'm not sure there's much modeling anymore in that aspect. There's a lot of modeling going on, but I think it's a lot more social media. And not saying every family falls into this scenario, because some of them will have that part down so good that they'll sit down and have dinner, but there's a lot of other things missing, right? And it all goes back to still running around chasing the mighty dollar to get the materialistic things. So I don't know. I see a lot of modeling from different social media and stuff that's acceptable that really is not acceptable. And they stand on it. It's the thing to do. Even it's just crazy. There's just a lot of modeling of unacceptable ways. And that's the way we do it? Oh. So that's the beginning. When did that start? I think when the household broke down, right? And we stopped parenting to the ability that we can parent, right? And there's a whole piece there that you see in the youth, right? When I look around, there's just a missing piece. And there's the labels. We're going back sessions here, right? The labels and the parents fighting for their kid because you were wrong as a teacher because of XYZ. Meanwhile, if you really want to take accountability of the actions of your son or daughter, well, then let's really look at the picture and let's have the real conversation, because you'll start to find that you might be pointing the finger back at you because you taught your son or daughter to do it this way. And I'm here just trying to do a job and support you as best as I can. And it's not easy. I think the breakdown of the family is the win for, I feel like it's a breakdown of the family because you're bringing all this materialistic stuff in. And look, we have that. And it really doesn't mean much because it's just materialistic stuff, right? It's more about feeling the love from a mom and a dad and knowing that they're going to be there for you, but they're going to be there for you when you act like a fool in class and act out, and they're going to be there for you to tell the teacher, what they're going to do and how I can go toward your principal to get to that teacher it winds up going down that kind of avenue, standing up for them rather than just being in a household and having a conversation and just showing the love there or the care and everything there. I don't know.
I wonder if that is in some respect a guilty backlash. The child comes home with a bad report or they've had a detention and you're suddenly confronted with a standard that you would not have wanted to see. And so you leap to the defence. And there's definitely been a shift towards the teachers being to blame for things rather than teachers teach. Child or learner's job is to learn. Now it's like, well, it's your fault they didn't learn, or it's your fault they acted out in class. And it's a defensive reaction because they, parent, caregiver, is feeling the pressure of being judged. And so I'm going to take the fight here. Whereas actually, like you're saying, if they had a better role model at home, the behaviour wouldn't have been that way. It's a salvation of a wound that they're not being able to be what they want to be. They might want to be others. It might be a case of they're more than happy just to pass the buck on to schools, society. I mean, we had a question raised in Parliament, if you can believe, about children not being toilet trained at school. And kids of 4 and 5 who can't control themselves because they haven't been taught. And the question was, what is the Department of Education going to do? The Department of Education is going to say, go home and don't come back to school until you've taught your child how to use the bathroom properly. But no, it's like, no, it's the school. The school needs to, we're back to, quite literally in this case, handling other people's shit.
It's crazy.
So I don't even know where to begin on this right now. And we're already 35 minutes into this episode, and I've been really quiet because I'm just listening. And I first of all, you can't go to school here if your kid is not potty trained. You're just not even allowed to sign them up for school if they're not potty trained. So that's not happening. And we lost Gabby. I don't know where she went. But as far as, I don't even know where to begin. So I feel like a little bit, this conversation has become a little generalized, that the parents, because I'm going to speak on behalf of all of us who are working parents, right? That also have standards that that we raise our kids under. And the going to work is not always just about all the stuff that I can get, right? Sometimes for those of us, it's a matter of survival. So it's not so much giving up connection because of materialism. It's surviving and also wanting to connect in a way that suits your standards, right? It's really hard to do all of that and remain connected and be a present role model to your kid when you're fighting society as a whole in everything that they're seeing. It's a battle that is hard fought. Sometimes you can't win it. And it becomes like, what choice do I have to make here? What is the battle that I need to? You can't fight every battle. You just can't fight them all if you're looking to win some. You just can't fight them all. So I remember when my son was younger, and I'm sure there are things that I did, but I was very present. I was always around. He got into trouble. There were some things, right? That doesn't mean that I wasn't there being connected. It's just sometimes your kid is being a kid and they do whatever they do. You still have to have your level of standard, right? I don't think it matters the formation of the family. We talked a lot about broken home and how that's the general breakdown, but it's a choice of what kind of parent and role model do you want to be, and how involved do you want to be with your kid, and how much blood, sweat, and tears are you willing to shed so that your children can operate on this level of standard that you're holding. So working, it becomes survival. It's survival. But to Alex's point, I want nice things. I shouldn't have to choose either between connection and working. And you can have it all. It's just, what choices are you making individually to stay the course? It is not for the faint at heart. It is a fucking hard job. It's not easy to do, which is what I personally think is contributing to the breakdown. People are afraid of being disliked. People are afraid of working hard. People just don't want to do it, which is why our standards have dropped to subpar. But when we're battling I remember saying this when my kid was in high school. I have these standards. This is what it is. And I'm battling every other fucking parent out there. We're parents against parents here, because I'd hear so-and-so's parent. I don't give a shit what so-and-so's parent is allowing you to do. I'm fighting the battle not only against you, but I have other parents that I now have to be like, what? It's not easy to do. So I think it's a choice, just like everything else, deciding who and how you want to show up for your family, whoever you're being a role model for, and being willing to put yourself in the line of fire. You're not going to be liked. I have a 21-year-old who still doesn't like me. I'm pretty sure that we're in this place where we're still not really friends sometimes, but we're still not. And this story, like the kid in the pool story, I have a mental note to ask him. And there's a part of me that's, be careful of, don't ask questions you don't want answers to, right? Because I sure as hell want to hear him tell me, no, I'd get out of the pool and shake his hand. But there's a slight chance that he would say, what's the big deal? To which I'm not going to like that, because my standards are up here. And I'm going to be, like Alex said, when parents come to the defense of their kids, I think it's mostly, again, why do we make excuses? It's the fear of judgment, the fear of shame. It's a reflection of you as a parent when your kid is off making a fool of himself or doing some asinine shit. So instead of owning up and saying, maybe I didn't do something right, or allowing your kid to be him or herself fully and cut yourself off from it, it's a hard job to do. But your standards still have to be what they are, whether your kid likes it or not.
It's a good point. Actually, it brings it back to you, Al, when you said about the kids not being toilet trained at 5 years old. And then the parents said, that's the excuse. It's the school's job, not mine, right?
And look at so much like preschool stuff. A small child, an infant child, needs engagement, not in the sense of just keeping them happy. To thrive, they need their curiosity piqued. They need their interests attended to, whether that be with blocks and letters or colours and shapes or whatever. And maybe not every parent is available to do that, but there is a caregiver somewhere who has to have the responsibility of doing that for a child, so that when it gets to school, it has got some basic information to work with. And I think as our children get older, we get these occasional gems of realization. Something happens, there's a breakup, and the child deals really well. They're mature. I went and said goodbye to the parents because they've been good to me. I knew I wasn't going back. So I know that is done. But I went and shook Dad's hand and said goodbye because I'm a man. And that's a good thing to do. It could be a young lady, but I'm using that as the example. I knew that a standard is there, and that ultimately there will be things that happen as our children get older and become adults themselves that reassure you that actually you did some good in modelling what is just a decent standard of being a human. And I think that what we should be aiming for, not just with our own children, we've reached a point where, certainly in this country, as an adult, it used to be acceptable to tell a child if they were doing something wrong. It would no longer be acceptable. You would potentially come to blows if you told somebody else's child that its behaviour wasn't appropriate. And it's because of that we struggle. There's no discipline at home, there's no self-discipline, and teachers can't discipline children because that blows up. So where's the discipline coming from? And you've got to hope that you see little things like good feedback from other adults that interact with your child, that they've got good manners, that they're courteous, that they help others. Because these are the things we want. The other bits and pieces aren't as important as knowing that we're raising a decent human.
I'm
However
sorry
we
I
interpret
laughed
that.
because I had that actually happen to me. And then Brett was there, where, whatever, long story short, we were at a soccer tournament, whatever, and some kid on the team decided to reach his hand into my plate and pull something off of it because he wanted something to eat. And I was like, whoa, what is happening here? And it turned into a whole big thing where that kid's parents actually was stood up and was coming at me. And I literally was like, stop right there. I don't know what this is about, but if my kid put his hand in your plate, I would fully expect you to do the fucking same. We're not brought up in a barn here, and everything is not just open. If the kid was hungry and asked me, I probably would have given him something because I'm not an animal, but he is, apparently. So I'm just not having it. It turned into a whole fucking to-do where I was like, what is happening in the world here? We're instantly jumping to conclusions about what you think happened. And I'm just trying to guide your kid into, that's just bad behavior. Nobody should be doing that kind of thing. But whatever, standards. It varies from person to person, I guess, is the point.
Boundaries. We come back to them again and again. Awareness, boundaries, choice, owning our choices. It seems to have been a theme, but I think we find it everywhere. Gabby's thing is communication. Brett is all about modelling for young men. And all of this stuff is absolutely core to all of it.
Go ahead, Erika.
No, I was just going to say my closing idea on this is just don't be afraid to have standards. Don't be afraid. It's okay to have standards. Don't be afraid. Be ready for some backlash, but don't be afraid.
Brad, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave it where it is. I think it was a great conversation, and thanks for listening.
The song, Bringing Sexy Back. That song, I'm bringing sexy back. It's Justin Timberlake. Anyway, I'm going to hashtag bringing standards back to the same beat.
Alec, any closing thoughts?
I think what I just said, really, that all of this comes back to these central tenets, really. It's communication and standards and boundaries and understanding what it is to just be a decent human. And if we lose sight of this, if we don't at least make some effort to pass that on to younger generations, they will have nothing to look back at as where do we start from. So unfortunately, folks, it starts here with you today.
And that's exactly my closing thought, because it's my own standards. What do I hold myself up to? And how do I turn up as a role model for others? And obviously, that starts small around me. So it's one thing giving out about the standards of society, but what's happening around me, and not to be shy to actually voice them if I see it. I think that's the only way to go about it.
I think I have a closing statement. What foundation are you sending your son or daughter out with when they move forward in life? What's that foundation look like? And is it built up strong that they can succeed? So that's where I'd like to end on.
That's it. And it's true. What foundation do we send them out with? And it brings us back to the very first thought. What if you see it happening in the company? Are you calling it out? Are you quiet because you don't want to be the target? Or are you afraid maybe you won't be promoted? Are you staying still and let people doing and play the game? Or are you actually calling it out? Take some balls, I guess. And with that, we are closing today's conversation. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you found it interesting. Leave us comments below. Let us know what you think about it. And our details are in the comments too. Bye.